B2B SEO, ranking higher in 2025. The new reality of B2B search in 2025. If you lead B2B growth in 2025, you've probably noticed the same pattern. Paid acquisition keeps getting more expensive. Outbound inboxes are crowded, and buyers are doing more research before they'll talk to anyone. The upside is that search is still where that research starts and where trust gets built. When we treat SEO like a core go-to-market motion, not a side project, it can produce compounding demand that your team can actually convert. The data supports that shift. Organic search drives about 53% of all website traffic, and B2B companies tend to see the majority of site visits come from organic discovery. That's why ranking higher isn't a branding exercise anymore. It's a direct lever for qualified demand entering your funnel. Even more important, SEO ties to revenue outcomes. In B2B, SEO contributes roughly 44.6% of revenue, more than any other single channel, so the stakes are higher than page views or impressions. The goal in 2025 is to own the digital buying journey from first problem query to vendor shortlists and internal justification. AI overviews and richer SERP features have changed how people consume information, but they haven't removed the need for credible sources. Buyers still search to define problems, compare approaches, evaluate vendors, and de-risk decisions. The teams that win aren't the ones chasing a single keyword. They're the ones building the most useful, most quotable, most trustworthy body of work in their category. SEO also continues to outperform as a lead engine. About 57% of B2B marketers say SEO generates more leads than any other marketing initiative, which is a strong signal that organic demand isn't just top of funnel, it's often the primary funnel. The practical implication is that SEO priorities should be set with the same seriousness as pipeline targets and sales capacity. Search intent converts when you follow up correctly. SEO-sourced leads close at about 14.6% versus roughly 1.7% for traditional outbound leads, which is exactly why sales teams love inbound when it's handled well. The mistake we see is letting high-intent traffic leak because forms are weak, routing is slow, and no one turns those intent signals into fast, relevant conversations. A 2025-ready SEO strategy starts with revenue evidence. Instead of beginning with a giant keyword spreadsheet, start with your CRM and analytics to identify the pages and topics that already contribute to opportunities, pipeline, or closed-won deals. Then expand outward into adjacent problems, comparisons, and implementation questions that naturally support the same buying motion. You also need to plan for how buyers actually discover vendors. About 71% of B2B buyers begin with generic, non-branded search queries, so category, problem, and how-to coverage is mandatory for discovery. A common mistake is only producing bottom-of-funnel content like category pricing without first building the authority and internal linking that earns those pages the right to rank. Finally, map content to the committee, not a single persona. There are typically 6 to 10 people involved in a B2B buying decision, and around 60% of decision makers read at least 3 pieces of content before engaging sales. That means your content needs multiple lenses: CFO ROI, IT risk, ops implementation, VP sales outcomes, so stakeholders can self-serve answers and internally align before they ever book a call. Execute the foundations: technical SEO, structure, and on-SERP visibility. In 2025, you don't get credit for great content if the site experience is sloppy. Technical basics, crawlability, index management, canonicalization, mobile usability, and clean internal linking are table stakes for consistent rankings. The most expensive mistake is publishing aggressively while letting technical debt quietly cap your ceiling. Zero-click behavior makes structure even more important. About 58.5% of US Google searches ended with no click, and only 360 out of every 1,000 searches sent traffic to non-Google sites. That forces B2B teams to optimize for visibility outcomes too. Clear headings, concise definitions, strong FAQs embedded in narrative, and schema that helps engines understand what your page is truly about. The practical play is to win twice, earn SERP features, and still be the best next click for complex decisions. You do that by writing in crisp sections, using consistent terminology, adding supporting data, and making it easy for engines and AI systems to quote you accurately. When the query turns into implementation, pricing, integration, or risk, buyers still click. So your pages must deliver depth the SERP can't fully summarize. In 2025, ranking higher matters, but earning trust faster matters more because buyers don't click until they believe the next page will reduce risk. Create content that buying committees actually use. B2B content that ranks in 2025 is built around problems, decisions, and proof, not word count for its own sake. Your best pages should answer the why, what, and how in one place. What the problem is, what options exist, what trade-offs matter, and what the next step should be. The goal is to make your page the one internal stakeholders pass around when they're aligning on a vendor shortlist. A frequent mistake is creating one-off posts that don't connect to anything else. Instead, build cohesive topic clusters where a core pillar page links to supporting assets like comparisons, implementation guides, ROI breakdowns, and objections. When each page reinforces the others, you earn topical authority, increase internal link equity, and give sales a library of assets that match real talk tracks. Write for AI-friendly clarity without sounding robotic. Use straightforward definitions, consistent naming, especially for features, and explicit sections that address common evaluation concerns like security, integrations, and adoption. When the information is structured and verifiable, it's more likely to be surfaced in AI summaries and more likely to convert when the buyer needs the full context. Turn organic intent into conversations with SDR and outbound alignment. SEO creates demand, but outbound converts demand faster when you use the same intent signals. Your highest performing organic pages tell you which pains, industries, and use cases are resonating, so your SDR team should mirror that language in outreach. This is where many teams miss. Marketing celebrates rankings, while sales runs generic sequences that ignore what prospects are actively researching. At SalesHive, we treat SEO insights as fuel for outbound execution. As a B2B sales agency and sales development agency, we build targeted lists aligned to the same ICP and themes your content is earning attention for. Then, run messaging through cold email and calling that references the real problems behind those searches. When you align SEO with a cold calling agency motion or a broader outbound sales agency approach, you reduce random acts of outbound and increase relevance. This is also where sales outsourcing can create leverage. An outsourced sales team or SDR agency can scale faster than hiring internally as long as the outreach is grounded in your best-performing topics and offers. If you're evaluating cold calling services, a cold email agency, or pay-per-appointment lead generation, the differentiator isn't volume. It's whether the team can translate intent into credible, specific outreach that earns replies and booked meetings. Avoid the mistakes that quietly kill B2B SEO performance. The most common SEO failure in B2B is measuring the wrong thing. Traffic alone can be misleading, especially when zero-click results are rising and when some of your best pages are meant to influence deals, not generate massive sessions. If you don't connect content to pipeline stages, you'll end up over-investing in informational topics that don't move revenue. The second mistake is ignoring the middle of the funnel. Many teams publish awareness content and then jump straight to high-intent pages, skipping comparisons, implementation considerations, and stakeholder-specific objections. In deals with multiple decision-makers, that gap forces prospects to find answers elsewhere, which often means competitors become the trusted source by default. The third mistake is operational, slow iteration. SEO compounds when you update, consolidate, and improve what already has traction. But teams often treat content as publish and move on. A better rhythm is to audit top pages monthly, refresh sections that are drifting, strengthen internal links, and coordinate with your SDR agencies or internal team so outreach reflects the newest positioning and proof points. A practical 90-day path to higher rankings. Start by picking a small number of revenue-aligned themes you can realistically win. Choose problems you solve best, map them to the personas in the buying committee, and identify the pages most likely to support demos, trials, or consultations. Then make sure those pages are technically sound, clearly structured, and internally linked from relevant supporting content. Next, build a publishing and optimization cadence that favors quality and depth. Each new piece should have a clear intent, a defined audience, and a measurable next step. And each existing page should have an owner responsible for refreshes. If your growth plan includes outsourced sales or adding a cold calling team, sync the content calendar with outbound messaging so your sales reps are always referencing the latest, strongest assets. Finally, treat SEO and outbound as one system. Use Search Console queries, top landing pages, and content engagement to inform list building services, cold call services, and LinkedIn outreach services so your team targets accounts already showing relevant interest. When SEO earns attention and your SDR motion converts it, you don't just rank higher, you create a repeatable pipeline engine that's built for how B2B buying works in 2025.